How do you see job roles changing and what do you see as the future of employees?
I think employees need to begin to invest in themselves. There is a ton of free training that's available.
We do a lot of enterprise training, so they work with Fisher Phillips, SHRM, and we notice it's not really the access to information, it's they literally just need someone to kind of hold their hand and walk them through it. That's more important than anything else.
For sure. I can still have the new employee, the manager sitting beside them, still using that workflow to get them up to speed.
You are 22 right now, just graduated university college. You're going into the workforce. In your specific company, what role would you want? What department would you want to be in and why? Start off, I want to talk about your LinkedIn bio. It says, I'm not here to play consultant, I'm here to spark movements. Movements towards smarter design, sharper strategy, and systems that treat citizens like customers, not case files. Can you talk to me more about how you're building systems that treat citizens like customers, not case files?
Yeah, it's the essence of our platform. The whole notion of customer 360. I'm sure you've seen it. It's the customer in the middle and the tools and processes around it, right? I've been a customer. Um, I've been served by multiple agencies across the government, and I know what it feels like when those agencies have made me feel like I need to know how they work. I need to know their language, right? That's not fun. It's not engaging. And it's quite frustrating, to be honest with you. And so, in terms of working now in this role with customers that are wanting to step out and do something different, this really gives them an opportunity to do that, to really start with the customer in mind, but also understanding that they can transform the experience for the external customer at the same time transforming the experience of the people who literally are responsible for doing the work. And in my time in government, well, I spent 11 years inside government. 13 years before that, I supported government in some capacity. And so I do think that we are now at a point where you can do both at the same time.
Yeah.
Without having to choose who do we serve best, our employees or our customers. We can do both.
Talk to me about how you enable that. From the research I've done, and you're chief information officer, or you're now a GTM AI executive. I had an interesting conversation with Saket Sristavam. So he's the CIO over at Asana. And he was talking to me about how the CIO is more important than ever and kind of your relationship with all of the departments of enabling this AI. Talk to me about how you're enabling both customers and employees.
Well, the technology is in the middle at this point. What we've seen, I think, over the last 7 or 8 years is that the business and IT are starting to need to blend in order to use these technologies effectively. In other words, when we're talking about a platform is intended to serve many, not one, right? Government has been used to buying one solution for one problem. So that's very different, right? We're no longer there. And so when customers are open to taking a platform approach, as a CIO, you now are serving multiple customers on a single platform and ensuring that real ROI, but also the opportunities for reuse, because I may have a problem here and I may have a problem here, and they may be the exact same problem. Let me solve it one time, right, on a platform. Whereas in the traditional model, I was having to custom code a solution for both customers. More time, more money, more headaches.
I want to switch gears for a second and talk about employees. So obviously with this new era of AI, roles are getting redefined, the future of work is unsure. How do you see job roles changing and what do you see as the future of employees?
I don't see it necessarily changing. What I do think that employees need to be thinking about and being very aggressive about is understanding how AI is going to be introduced into their world. I still think that the ultimate goal of any employee is to be a subject matter expert in your own lane. But it's important to know that then if AI is introduced into that lane, what have I done to prepare myself for understanding the data that that AI is going to use? Have I had any hands-on experience with different tools from ChatGPT to Perplexity to Claude, you name it? Like, have I ventured out on my own to really understand how this technology works at its most basic level? And the differences that they in how they work. And so that's where I think I posted an article only because you brought up my LinkedIn profile. I posted an article a few weeks ago that all you need is 6 hours to learn AI, and a lot of it is just really basic information. But what I'm getting at here is that I think employees need to begin to invest in themselves. There is a ton of free um, training that's available. Trailhead.com, shameless plug. But yeah, Trailhead.com is free. Here's the really important part. Trailhead.com, in terms of you getting a good foundation on AI, has nothing to do with our platform.
Yeah.
It's just basic AI skills, basic data skills,
Yeah.
right? You never have to decide to go and become an agent blazer, right? Or an agent innovator or whatever our different levels are, right? You never have to decide to do that. But if you just want access to free information to make you smarter, to make you better, to make you relevant, it's there.
I want to tap into that. You're talking a lot about this like preparation, right? And I want to get this verbatim as well. So there's a 2025 Salesforce report about agentic government. You said the following: these AI-powered agents are like your dream team, handling the grunt work and sorting out the data mess so you can focus on the big picture.
Yeah.
Here's my question. I want to kind of switch that around. With so many of these entry-level jobs being taken by AI, doing the grunt work, so to say, like, what's the next evolution for recent grads? You expect them to be very prepared, but is there any value in doing the grunt work and just working through the reports and parsing through mindless data?
You still have to understand it.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, right? You know, when we are building solutions for our customer, let's use benefits management as an example. I'm a citizen and I want to get some kind of benefit from the government, whether that's a passport, right? Or I want to get a social security card, or maybe I want to get social security benefits, right? Any of those things. Still, as a college level entry grad, if I'm going, or excuse me, a college grad, if I'm going to use this system and be a part of the flow in terms of how that citizen gets this benefit, I still have to familiarize myself and understand the context of the case. I need to understand um, fully, like, what does the policy say, so that even if AI comes back with a recommendation for me,
Yeah.
that I know that that recommendation is a North Star and it's not something complete. And I'm not talking about a hallucination. I'm simply talking about, am I certain that this AI has given me information that's contextually correct and applicable to this particular customer? You still got to know your job,
Yeah.
And so this is where I think people are going to get deeper, become deeper experts in their line of work so that AI can become more rich and meaningful and useful in their lives.
Yeah, I think that makes sense in the context of someone that's already like established in their career. They're already working there, right? Because they're already a subject matter expert. But I'm kind of more concerned about recent
Well, I
grads.
do believe, I do believe, so you can still use agents as a means to get people up to speed faster. So think about new hires, any new hire, right? And I've hired people at all levels. I just was telling another reporter that uh, the the curve to get someone fully functional in government, when I was in government, 6 to 9 months.
Okay.
Right? Why? Because I had a lot of things that were manual, some things that required multiple systems that you needed a different log on for each one, right? Now it's a little bit different. If I can automate that process and put AI in it, on day two, I can have you in the system and working through it with AI giving you recommendations on what to do in the next step, why to do that in the next step. Here's the data that you need to consider, right? I can still have the new employee, the manager sitting beside them, still using that workflow to get them up to speed. So that's a piece of it that I think people don't consider. And I can train people faster now than I used to. I don't have to take people out of the workforce to now sit with you for months in order for you to do your job.
Yeah, I noticed a big thing you talk about is culture. Like online, you're massive on culture. And I'm really curious how that fits into this. So you're describing these AI systems where you've got this one-on-one training, getting people up to speed.
Yes.
What else have we not spoke about as an important part of culture?
Leadership.
Okay.
Um, I don't think that I fully understood this until working here. So um, I want to give kudos. And this is not to say that this doesn't happen in any other organization, but I'll just say from when I was in government and the culture of government, when I deployed new tools, that tool was only for that group. Leadership never got engaged in learning the tool, understanding the tool, none of that, right? Um, and perhaps it's because we're a product company, right? That maybe that's the difference. But I think the important takeaway here is that when we got ready to roll out Agentforce, when we got ready to roll out Slack, the CEO and the number two were in a room showing how it worked. And the expectation was that their reports and their reports and their direct reports were also able to demonstrate that they could use this technology. I think that's really important today that if adoption is going to occur, if if you are going to become an agentic enterprise, an agentic government, that leadership has to come from the top where even those people, the secretary of a cabinet level organization knows how to use the AI just like the most junior person in the organization. I think that's so important, right? Um, it is not a top down thing. I think it's very much, it is top down. I don't think it's bottom up at all.
Apart from leadership, have you noticed any specific examples of like one-on-one meetings or like monthly webinars? Like what are other things that get people comfortable, move them from like fear to excitement?
I do think it is, even within corporate organizations where people are saying, "Okay, we want to give people access to a Chat GPT or to a Claude," and getting a cohort together, right? 4 weeks cohort together. Hey, by the time you finish this cohort, you'll be able to do X, Y, and Z. I do think we need to see a lot more of that happening where that tool may never be used in the enterprise, but what is it giving? The value that it's giving is it's getting people comfortable. It's getting people unafraid, and also getting people thinking about, oh, when we do get a tool like this is how I would use it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, we notice the same. So we do a lot of like enterprise training. So they work with like Fisher Phillips, SHRM, and we notice it's not really the access to information. It's they literally just need someone to kind of hold their hand and walk them through it. That's more important than anything else.
for sure.
In terms of people using AI, like I think when we think about this and a lot of the numbers that get talked about in the keynote says like, here's the bottom line revenue that's being affected, right? For you when you're working with employees, how are you measuring the success of AI implementation? Is it, okay, I'll just generally hear from people, okay, they're kind of using it, this is what we're thinking. Are you tying it directly to a specific figure?
So I think something to note. So remember I mentioned Trailhead?
Yeah.
Okay. So we are responsible for maintaining our level of understanding and education on the platform. There's a bar that's set annually, basically, that says you need to have these courses under your belt in order to.
So it's like a completion of education, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So education is very much a part of the culture, right? It's not just, hey, you got a new tool, use it. It's also, and here's the trailhead, right, to support you in using it. I think Trailhead does a really good job that after each of the modules that you complete or each of the trails that you complete, that it's asking you for feedback. I do know that in our annual like employee survey, it does ask now about like the tools that we have. Are they enough? Are they right? Is it too much? Right? There's still asking those questions there, and the company adjusts. right? It is listening, but it's listening with the intent of making changes. And so from time to time we feel those changes.
Okay. I have three quick fire questions to finish off. What's one thing you would take about how you worked in government and bring it in here? And what's one thing you take about working here in institute and government?
Wow. In government, the way that decisions got made, there were a lot more memos, a lot more formal communications around what was going on and expectations. Um, that's probably one of the things I would bring here because we are a huge company, right? 70,000 employees. And from time to time, it's at least from where I sit in the organization, sometimes I know something's happening. I know something happened rather, but I may not understand the full context of it, right? I may have to like go and ask several people.
I had an interesting. I thought you were looking at that from a negative standpoint of like the bureaucracy is too much, but you're actually a fan of how formal it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the formality is still kind of in me, and some
Mm.
part of me desires that a little bit,
And then the opposite way around, what would you take from Salesforce and give to government?
Um, I think the true spirit of innovation,
Yeah.
right? I do think that like that is something that I didn't know I was missing until I got here. I was always willing to like go to the edge and not look down and jump. I love that. I think that is uh, I don't know how you cultivate that exactly, but that is and I think that comes from every level in the organization that you have to have people that are risk takers. That's where the government I would love to see the government be more inclined to take risk in the right places so that it feels more, so that its constituents feel more connected to it.
Okay. Second last question.
Yes.
Hypothetical for you. You are 22 right now, just graduated university college. You're going into the workforce. In your specific company, what role would you want? What department would you want to be in and why?
I'd love to come to a company like Salesforce. I'll tell you why. Um, I'd love to come into a sales role.
Mm.
Um, and why? Because um, the ability to know how to not just sell a product, but to also what I think Salesforce does well is to build relationships. I think is crucial to a 22-year-old. Like those, knowing how to talk to anyone at any time, learning how to foster connection and that comes from the fact that we are not just calling you trying to sell you licenses. We are doing research. They are teaching those 22-year-olds to do research about that agency, that department, and then understanding their problem. Yeah. Right. I think that that's a fundamental skill, a lifelong skill that will take you far.
Yeah. I fully agree with that as well. My first real job was working in phone sales as well. Done that for 6 years when I was like 15 years old. So I'm on the same page with you. Last question for you. I ask everyone this that I podcast with, and I encourage you to take 10 seconds and take the question however you want as well.
Okay.
Why do you do what you do?
And yeah, I guess it's like I do what I love what I do because I am a catalyst for change. That's sometimes the things that I'm able to share with customers, the successes I'm able to share, the learnings I'm able to share with customers, uh, it changes their minds and it gives them the power and the courage to go and do something different. Um, to be able to affect that is incredible to me. The second reason I do what I do is because I do think it's important to be able to internally in the company, be able to educate the sales teams, the workforce in general, the marketing team, the product team about how government works and how we can truly help them and not just try to throw anything at them. So I think that part of it is I'm very intentional about how I show up internally because I am helping to solve problems. And then last but not least, I think um, I love what I do because I think I represent an example um, to anyone that desires a future outside of government, inside of government, right? That you can be in either lane and still be successful.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's sorted. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Okay.